Tell a story about when you were happy that you read the papers before signing them. When I was about to propose to my girlfriend, I went to a rather well-known jewelry store to get a ring. I wanted to surprise her, but I realized that she would most likely want to exchange the ring for another one, so I asked the staff beforehand if I could return my $900 if needed. They assured me that I could. I proposed to her. My bride, as I had predicted, found herself another ring at a different store, so I went back to that shop and asked for my money back. The employee looks at me and says, "No problem, just sign this first." I look at the small paper she's giving me, reluctant to sign, when suddenly I see in small print, "I confirm that this purchase is final and non-refundable." I look at the girl and ask, "Why should I suddenly sign this?" She took away the paper, called the manager, and he immediately transferred the full amount to my card without any questions. If anyone's interested, this was at People's Jewelers in Vancouver. I'm a musician. Once they wanted to sign me to a label, the contract was written in very, very broken English. The whole document was riddled with idiocy, but I was particularly pleased with the following points. 1. I must give them my name. 2. I must give them the copyrights to all my old songs. 3. If they don't sell all the physical copies of my music, I will be obligated to compensate for the losses from my own pocket. Dug them. My husband and I bought a house. My husband signed the papers right away, but I still had some business to take care of, so I could only come in the evening. I arrive and immediately start studying the loan application. Our lender sees this and says, "You know this isn't mandatory reading, right? Besides, your husband already signed." I'm like, "No, I want to make sure everything is as I want it." Well, then it turns out that on paper we're borrowing $250,000 at 25%. Aha, right. I didn't sign anything and left right there. The lender then started threatening me with court, to which I replied that it would be cheaper for me to go to court than to pay his outrageous interest rates. Since then, I've been handling the mortgage myself, and that lender, by the way, was my husband's school friend. Once when I was applying for a job, the contract stated that I must work for them for a minimum of 4 years. Otherwise, these 4 years would count as training that I would have to pay for out of my own pocket in case of early departure. Some time ago, Wi-Fi appeared at our school. When I first tried to connect to it, I noticed that the terms of agreement stated that the school could confiscate my phone and examine its contents. I decided I didn't need that, and I still don't use it to this day. I decided to buy a phone with a plan for $200. The salesperson told me they were closing and that it would be more convenient if I came back the next day to sign the papers. In the morning, the amount in the contract that had been lying on the table all night had somehow miraculously changed from $200 to $300. I caught them on this and left for another store. My wife and I went to a car dealership to finance our first car. My brother was going to co-sign for us because the dealership had a special offer for recent college graduates, allowing them to get a loan without additional interest. Their financier offered us 2 loan options, one for 3 years, another for 5 years. While we were discussing it, he kept assuring us that both options came without interest. So we agreed to 5 years to reduce the monthly payments. Then this same guy gives us the papers and tells us to hurry up and sign them. But we're not completely stupid. We start reading the details, and what do you think? It turns out that the 5-year loan doesn't qualify for their promotion, and under this contract, we would have to pay 6.5%. In my opinion, that's a bit more than zero. We got angry and started threatening to leave. Then they, realizing they were about to lose customers, made concessions and gave us a discount on the car. Damn, how many graduates fall for this scam, signing papers blindly? We were selling our business. My wife's car was registered to the company, but we weren't planning to sell it. When the lawyer came, we immediately made it clear that we were selling everything, equipment, inventory, except the car. Guess what was in the contract he sent us a week later? Thank God we read everything carefully and managed to cross out that clause before the papers reached the buyer. At my last job at a restaurant, they sent us new employment contract terms. I open it up and there's a clause about a non-compete agreement, meaning after you quit, you can't work in the same industry for a certain period of time. I told my colleagues about it, and as a result, almost no one signed the new contract. A week later, management had to revise it. Once I decided to get a gym membership, instead of the promised $90 per month, they charged $250 from my card. Upset that I had been deceived, I went home. The next night, I could barely sleep because I was still angry. In the morning, I decided to call them and find out if there was any way to cancel the membership. And they told me it was only possible if I moved to an area where they didn't have a gym. A day later, I read our contract and found a clause that said the membership could be canceled within 2 weeks without any explanation. Only 3 days had passed at that point. After that, I very quickly got it canceled.